Alright, so we got FingerQuick here, about to play Pac-Man World 2. And we are ready for countdown, FingerQuick.
Alright. I think this opening cutscene might almost be finished. I'll just let it play out. This is for everybody that wants to know the lore of the game. Oh, y'all hear it now? This game's got some banging tunes, so. Y'all ready then? Or are you still fixing it?
All ready for countdown.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Go!
Okay, so yeah, the lore of the game is if you didn't see the opening cutscene, Spooky stole all the fruit of Pac-Land. So Pac-Man's trying to get it all back from Spooky. All the levels in this game are pretty short. And the main movement tech is going to be rev rolling everywhere because it's the fastest form of movement. You rev roll off that rock so you don't have to swim all the way across that whole pond. So this game's split up into 6 different worlds. It's basically each world is defined by like the boss fight that happens at the end of it. And it's like the 4 ghosts of the game: Inky, Blinky, Clyde, Inky, and then a boat fight or a whale fight called the Mega Whale, and then Spooky at the end of the game. You want to like try to rev roll up on top of that so you don't have to swim through the whole water. It's a little faster if you rev roll off of each of these platforms. Okay, so here's the first boss fight. It's Blinky. The intended way that you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to like rev roll or bounce off of his tongue, but if you rev roll into the side of him and you hit him after he shoots his tongue out, you can still damage him. And then if you pause and wait for his invincibility frames to run out, you can hit him a second time. And the route that I just went there was the unintended route. You're supposed to like go around the level, but if you rev roll off that one crate, you can just rev roll straight over to those what these things are called, I think, bedoing pads or some sort of pad. But you can just rev roll right over to it and skip like half the level or however much of the level it is. I forgot how much exactly it is. There's a lot of saws in these levels. I want to make sure don't die during part of it from getting hit too many times. Alright, and then whenever you're completing a level, you don't really need to collect any like fruit or pack dots or anything. You just have to beat the level. None of the collectibles are really required unless you're doing 100%. There's another unintended route. That route ends up skipping like half the level. And then since you're at one more hit left at that ending, that saw, depending on where it is, when it's circling around at the top of that tree, you want to make sure you don't hit it, because otherwise you'll die. So here's the second boss fight. This one's pretty quick. If you just like rev roll off the edge here, just kind of like hug into Inky's machine, it'll just like tap him once and then tap him the second time, and each cycle takes 2 hits. Probably one of the easier boss fights in the game. These rev-roll rams will like try to rev-roll after you a lot, so you just want to try to make sure that they don't get you. So one of the main gimmicks of this level is that they're trying to run away from the snowball, so the camera's flipped. Instead of being like behind Pac-Man, watching him go forward, you're in front of Pac-Man. And all you have to really do is just like memorize where the holes are gonna be at, so that you don't fall through. Alright, and like the most optimal way to like rev roll, if you hold the B button down long enough, at the very back of Pac-Man's feet, like a cloud of dust will like start to kick up, and I don't think his speed like increases anymore after that cloud of dust shows up. So you want to try to like time releasing your B button once that cloud shows up. You want to wait for this gust of air to... Oh, I went too far. But you want to wait for that gust of air to blow across the ramp, so that way when you rev roll into the air, it'll blow you much farther than it should. And this part's pretty cool. There's gonna be a lot of these wind gust boosts that shoot you like all the way down the tunnel. And then again, it's just memorizing where the holes are, so you don't fall through the holes. Yeah, I wanted to try stopping before that last boost, but I kind of like ran right into it. Oh wait, that was okay. Forgot which boost I was at. And this boost is the last one that you have to hit, and that was actually pretty good. So the only way to really go fast on this one is just trying to skate in straight lines. You go faster the straighter you skate. Every time you take like a slight turn, you'll lose like some speed. And there's like a couple ramps you can skip. That's like slightly faster than just jumping over the ramp. But the majority of this is just trying to skate in a straight line and build momentum. The first couple caves have these icicles that fall from the ceiling, and then the last cave is free of icicles, but it has a bunch of holes that you can fall through. And then to avoid hitting those boxes, you kick flip in the air, which is just hitting the B button. You can just try to avoid hitting the crates, but it's, yeah, just like that. If you don't kick flip right and you hit the crate, you'll fall into the water and die, and then you go back to the last checkpoint. So it's better to kick flip in the air once you're about to hit those crates. So this is the last cave on the level. No icicles on the ceiling, but there's a bunch of holes in the ground. You just have to maneuver around.
This is a friendly reminder for all of you viewers that we have. Our next run will be Project M by Helix due to some technical difficulties, and he has some donation incentives that need to be met. We have a bid war for the tag name, which currently is at $0 for nothing, and $0 for nothing. See, it's a co-op run, so there's actually two badge names. And then during the run, if we reach $25, Helix will do a classic run right after.
So Pinky takes 4 cycles. The first 2 cycles are just 2 hits each cycle, and then the last 2 cycles are 3 hits for each cycle. Not a very difficult boss fight, but it can be a little tricky sometimes. And now we're into World 4, the volcano level. And all these pillars that I'm jumping on, they fall after you touch them. So this is probably the most like major skip in the game. Hopefully I get it first try, but if I don't, it's all good. It requires like some pretty precise movement up until you get it, because you need the chrome ball to be active. And you have to butt bounce into that lava. Sometimes you'll butt bounce a little too far and you'll end up dying because you went too far into the lava. But what you're supposed to do is you butt bounce into that corner of the lava, and then you rev roll against the wall, and then it'll like push you under the level, and then you jump across the lava towards the end of the level, since you got the chrome ball. There we go. And you need pretty precise movement because the chrome power-up will start to run out like right about here, like it's doing for me. And then you want to walk slowly into it, because if you go too fast, you might die from the lava underneath. It just hasn't like it doesn't show that there's lava there, but there is lava. So if you go too fast, it'll register that you're hitting the lava and you'll die. There's also kind of like a timing with the chrome power up on this level as well. I'm probably gonna miss it. Yeah, if you have your chrome power up long enough, you can get all the way to the end here. But my movement was a little bad, so I only got to that far. And then normally you're supposed to roll all the way down these slides to the very end of the level, but you can just go down like 2 levels here, and then butt bounce on this thing here, and you'll land where the level ends. This is probably the hardest of the 4 ghost boss fights. Just because of how finicky the hitbox is on Clyde's. You can't rev for this one. The gimmick is that you can't rev roll directly into his machine. You have to butt bounce on top of the glass. The glass is the only part that you can break on this one. So you have to wait for him to do his do everything that he does, and then he'll stop at the edge of the platform that you're on, and then you can butt bounce on top of his machine. And it has 5 phases. In each phase, you just have to hit the top of his machine twice. And his pattern is the same every time, so you just gotta follow or jump to the same platforms every single time. Oof. Yeah, the hitboxes aren't that bad up until this phase. Once you get to this phase, it's a little... like, you can butt bounce on top of his... on the glass once, and then you can just like keep trying to do it, but you gotta like hit it in a very specific way. And if you don't get it right away, it's very awkward to try doing it as he's falling up like that, because otherwise it's kind of hard. The camera starts rotating, so if you don't get it right away, it's better to just try butt bouncing back down onto the platform, waiting for him to stop a second time.
Can I read a donation now real quick?
Yeah, you can.
Alright, we have another $25 from the original Xbox, who says, another bonus run? Sure, why not? And that's towards the Project M Classic Mode bonus run, which I will actually be doing, so thank you very much for that.
I missed the first butt bounce there, so the camera like changed before I was able to get that second butt bounce off, so I wasn't gonna risk it. So this next world is pretty easy, aside from the boss fight. It's pretty much just you keep mashing B to spin in the water, and you just avoid mines and jellyfish and eels. There is some way to speed this up that I'll maybe try doing, but it requires damage boosting. And if you do it too much, you'll end up dying and reverting back to a checkpoint. And it's pretty inconsistent to do. So the easiest way is to just mash the spin button and try to avoid everything. I'm not sure if, like, if you take damage from an eel and then spin into a mine, if it still gives you that damage boost. I'm not 100% sure if that works. Or if it has to be from like a mine to another mine. And then this level's pretty much the exact same thing, just in a different level. End of it is right here? Yeah, okay. Sad thing is, outside of the boss fight of this world, those two levels are probably the most exciting, because now it's oh, forgot to mash start to skip that dialogue. Because now this level is just it's like a 7.5 minute or an 8-minute auto scroller, where you just, yeah, 8-minute auto scrollers, dude, I love it. But all you have to do for this is just avoid mines and everything. So yeah, pretty epic. This is like the only bad part of the run. I think the record is like 40 minutes maybe? 40, 41 minutes or something. So I don't know, if someone wants to like do the percentage of like how much of this run is just auto scrollers. It's like 7.5 minutes out of 40 minutes. It's like almost 1/4 of the run. The worst part is like if you're doing a 100% run of this and you get like towards the end and you miss something, you have to go all the way back. So 100% of this level are pretty also equally as epic. I've never done 100% of this, so I'm not exactly sure like how stuff spawn, because I know you're supposed to blow up mines and kill enemies to make fruit and whatever else spawn tokens. And I'm not sure if they spawn in the same spot every time or not. Can't remember how many of these boss fight, or not really a boss fight, but just like an enemy fight. I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 throughout this level. So that one's either like the first or the second one, I can't remember. I kind of just shut my brain off during this level. And then it'll start throwing these enemies in, really like crab things. And they shoot torpedoes at you. Kind of like the other ones, except those ones just sit on pipes. Yeah, dying on this is epic too. You can't go back to the checkpoint and you have to play it even longer. But if you do get hit and you get damaged and you lose some of your life, if you just start blowing up the mines, some of those chunks of your health should show out. It's just none of them showed up before I died, which is a shame.
God, Jabro in chat saying, "Our Nick will never know I was here, but now he will."
Hey, what's up, bro? Oh my god, is that finally it? Oh, thank god. Alright, now that actual interesting gameplay. There's some sort of setup for this, but it's been a long time since I played this game, so I'm not quite sure I'm gonna remember it. But there's a way to shoot your let me see. It's probably wrong. Yeah, I already messed it up. But you're supposed to, like, if you hit them in a specific way, you can like pretty much like, yeah, I messed that one up. Each propeller takes 9 hits, and the casual way of doing it, or like the intended way of doing it, is you only break off 1 propeller at a time. But if you make each propeller take 8 hits of damage, and then you just like kind of spam your torpedoes at it, it'll based on the way that the whale moves, you're able to like hit all 4 propellers at once, and it only takes 1 cycle instead of the slowest is 4. You can do it in like 2 or 3 as well if you manage to break off 2 propellers in one go, or 3 propellers in one time, and you just miss that last one, then it'd be a 2 cycle. And the whale moves in like the same pattern each. There's like a 20-second pattern that it moves or whatever. And it always moves in the same pattern, but I've never memorized the pattern that it goes. So that was the 5th world. 1 world is left. This level's kind of like the one in the snow world where you're like on the roller, or you're on your ice skates. There isn't really a way to speed this up other than just going in straight lines and trying to not slow your movement down, keep your momentum up. now all the platforms are gonna start falling. This is kind of like in the volcano world where all the rock formations would start falling after you touch them. And then kick flipping in the air makes it so that you're not jumping to your full height. So if you like tap A and then B like really quickly afterwards. On this pole, you want to grab from the left because it falls to the left. If you try grabbing from the right and it starts falling, you can never get back up on it. You'll just die falling down. Because I'm going to grab that apple right at the start, because I'm going to need that later in the level. Just to unlock like either a doing or a platform, one of the two. I can't remember which one it does. But there's going to be a cherry and a skeleton over here that I'm gonna need to grab as well. So I'm gonna kill him, take the cherry. Unlock that, unlock that. Oh, this didn't spawn. So these platforms here are cycle based. If you're able to get here like quick enough, I think you can get there like in an early cycle, but it requires like really good movement. Like pretty much IL perfect movement. And then butt bouncing on that ramp at the end kind of gives you a lot more momentum sliding into the ending. This level is the other big skip in the game. The intended way makes you like go all the way around the level. It takes like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes or so. If you rev roll under here, and then rev roll across to the other side. There's like a smaller skip you can do at the end here, because there's like some dialogue boxes. If you, yeah, I didn't get it. But if you jump like right at the end, you could land in the, ending thing, and you don't have to wait that extra like 3-4 seconds after dialogue finishes. Alright. And this is the final boss fight. Spooky. There's a stun lock that I can do. Oh, I messed it up. It takes 4 hits for him to do it. Normally he's supposed to talk to you, but if you kick him before he starts talking to you, it skips that dialogue, and then you can just keep repeatedly kicking into him. Let's see if I can do this. It's like a little bit precise. I'll try it again. I got him twice. I'll try to get it on the next cycle. Yeah, if you don't get all of them, oh, nice. But if you don't, if you only get them once or twice, then you just have to follow them around the rest of the level. I'm just gonna reset that because I messed it up that time. There we go. So that's one cycle. There's 3 cycles to Spooky. The first and the second one are somewhat easy to do. But then the fourth one, or the third cycle, you can only really get 2 kicks off on him. And it's like really difficult to get the other 2. This is the last cycle. This is the hardest cycle. You can't really rev roll over towards him because you got these flame trails chasing you constantly. So that's why it's good to get like 2 hits off on him. And that's time.
I knew he couldn't take Pac-Man. Did he say that we'd free him again? Uh-oh. Let's get out of here.
Is this canon?
It might be. I mean, it's in the game. I think it's canon. Yeah, that's Pac-Man World 2.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a ton, FingerQuick, for playing that. All right. Up next, we've got Helix 13 underscore playing Project M.